I know Dan. I don't know him very well. I went to one game that he had at his house, and it was as advertised. It was ridiculous. I remember standing there
I
like,
like
yeah,
that you just say it as advertised.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what
yeah,
you
oh,
mean.
yeah, exactly. And I'm putting myself where I was in the scene because I remember like I had to be the worst guy at the party. So there was a party where there's all these women. There's too many women, which is weird. Like, no, there isn't.
Which is weird.
Bro, it's like there's just too many of them.
You mentioned these giants. You mentioned Phil Ivey. Now, this is one of the when I first met you, as I say, I'd probably got into the game 2 months before, and I met you, and I was fascinated by you, and I'd researched you and watched that video of that crazy fold, and that is one of the main reasons I fell in love with poker so much. The characters in it as well.
Yeah.
Because if I've never personally understood wrestling. My friend Will Brazy is a huge wrestling fan, and I get why, but I don't like the wrestling myself. It's all about the characters and the stories. Poker actually has that, doesn't it? I never thought it would. I was wondering if I can hit you with some names, some big names from the game, and you can give me a little opinion on them. Any sort of anecdotes you have.
100%.
Love it. So you mentioned him there. We'll start with him. We'll go for Phil Ivey.
Phil Ivey. So an amazing mystical creature of a human being. This guy, like, I think that I'm in the poker world. I'm probably one of Phil's closest friends at this point. We talk a lot. We've battled for years against each other. When we were in Asia, we'd play against each other. We'd play against each other on apps. Like, there was a rivalry with me just battling one of my heroes in the beginning to just us becoming really, really good friends. But he's still an enigma. And I probably know him better than most because he'll say, like, he's just too cool,
He's so
like,
fucking cool.
yeah, like one time I bust him in this tournament, and there's 3 people left, and I look down at my phone and I see Phil text me, and I'm like, oh, he's probably texting me like good luck or something.
Yeah.
And I open my phone and it just says finish your breakfast. And I'm just like, how cool is this guy? And I finished my breakfast. I won that damn thing. I was just like, hell yeah, But he's just that cool.
Yeah.
Like I'll tell you a hilarious Phil Ivey story. And I think, I don't even know if my wife's heard this story. But this is a great story. I hope he doesn't mind me telling it. So the first time I met him, we were in Australia playing a poker tournament. I was like 26 years old. And I played with him all day. He is crushing everyone, destroying me, just having his way with everyone. And we both run deep in this tournament. He final tables it. It's like 1,000 people. I get like maybe 30th. And fast forward to LA, the next poker stop after that, a couple weeks later. And I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I look back and it's Phil Ivey. I'm like, hey, Phil Ivey, this is cool. Now, for people that don't watch poker, like this is Michael Jordan. Okay, this is Michael Jordan. This is Messi. Tapping you on the shoulder. Okay. And he said, give me your phone number. I was like, all right, sure. Whatever, man. And he texted me and said, you want to go out tonight? And I was like, yes, I do. I want to go out. So we go out all night. We're both single bachelors at the time. And this is so funny. Have a crazy night. Like, he has this table at this place, celebrities with him everywhere. He's cooler than you think he would be. And then he just disappears. And I'm awkwardly like standing in this club with like all these famous people. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And I end up going home. And the next day I'm talking to my buddies about it. And they're like, why did he like invite you out? Like, and I have no idea. And it's like on my mind for a couple of days. And I finally text him. I'm like, hey, Phil, that was a blast going out with you. Like just out of curiosity, like, why did you invite me to come out with you? And for the viewers, Phil's a black dude. And he texts me and he's like, well, to be honest, he's like, I needed a good looking white guy so I didn't scare off all the white chicks. And I don't know if he's just kidding around, but that was the response. So you get how funny this dude is. He's outrageously funny.
Fuck it out. That's a great story.
Yeah, it was great.
Wow.
I feel bad for anyone else on the list now because I've got to follow that.
But this guy, right? So I don't know much about these guys, right?
Okay.
But one thing I do know is the person we're about to mention, the first time that they ever came on my radar, me and Jason were on the feature table in Vegas.
Yeah.
This guy's on the feature. I think we're on like the B table, if you can call it that. And there's like an A table or whatever, or 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And this guy's on there. And when it became clear that this guy was on the table, Jason stood up and was just in awe of this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, holy shit! Like people are in awe of Jason. You know who I'm gonna say?
Yeah, Doyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Doyle is he just passed away about 3 months ago, 89 years old. He's the godfather of poker. This guy was a road gambler in the 60s. He looked like an old dude when you see pictures of him in like the 70s. You know, it's like
50
crazy.
years later.
Yeah, bro. It's like, and then Doyle's like in the main event at 87 years old or however old it was. I ended up getting to play with him that main event, which was really, really fun. And I got to know Doyle prior to that through other just acquaintances, and just a true legend of the game. When you think about this guy was being held up by mobsters in games. He saw someone get shot in a poker game. Like, you're talking like the stuff where you think about the dude sitting around the table smoking cigars and like
the Hollywood version. Yeah,
that was him. That was him the whole way up. So he paved the way for all of us guys. Like you talk about the movies that we saw to inspire us. He was the guy that inspired the movies made that inspired me, and he was still there doing it. And I actually got to play in a cash game with Doyle that same year. So you're talking 87 years old. I'm 37. Dude's 50 years older than me. And we were playing a game that was like, we both had $500,000 sitting in front of us in a cash game. And he was in there battling. Like, the dude's 87, playing stakes that big and holding his own.
Still sharp as
amazing.
anything.
Yeah, so sharp.
Yeah.
Great storyteller, just amazing human being.
I could feel the respect for him in that room.
Yeah, I mean,
for me, like he's just an old guy in a mobility.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Is this like Pele, Maradona?
Yeah, it is.
So you got Phil Ivey's Messi. Right, we're gonna put them all in soccer.
Yeah.
terms,
Okay,
right?
cool.
Phil Ivey's Messi. Doyle Brunson's
Stop
probably.
saying soccer. They're gonna hate you.
No, but I'm
Yeah,
doing
you
it
can
for
say
Jason.
football, bro.
Okay.
Totally, I get it. You heard me say football. I'm not saying soccer.
Yeah.
I get it.
Doyle's Pele. Yeah.
Okay.
Daniel Negreanu.
Me and D-Negs are really good buddies. We're both ambassadors for GG Poker, but I've known Daniel for 15 years. And this guy is just the ultimate poker ambassador. He's kind of the opposite of me. Like, I'm an ambassador for the game. I'm a fun guy to be around. I'm going to be nice, but I want to go home. I don't want to be bothered.
Mm-hmm.
If you see me at a casino and I'm not at the table, I'm like head down, walking out.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel is probably the most famous poker player, and he will take pictures with every single person there every day. He will sign anything anyone puts up. He has unlimited patience. Like, I have patience for no one. I'm not going to be mean, but I'm also like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he just has so much energy. It's truly amazing. It's like he's one of the greatest gifts to the game. Love him or hate him, I love him.
Yeah. Is he quite divisive, would you say?
Well, yeah. Well, he's very strong opinion,
Right.
and he's never afraid to just fire off. He'll fire off the hip. He's not afraid to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
He's really, he's totally fine being a polarizing guy.
Right.
I think most people like him and respect him, but he'll battle. you
Right.
know?
Who are we going for then? So keen to very people person.
Someone who came in early.
Someone came in early, is well respected, can be divisive at times, but has a lot.
Raheem Sterling came in as a youngster. England.
Don't know. I'm trying to think of someone who's like a
bigger.
people person. Like with I'm struck by the line.
Rashford.
Marcus Rashford.
He's loved by a lot of people, but also he does a lot outside of football where a lot of fans are going, just focus on football. Stop trying to feed starving kids.
The government.
Lovely person. Though.
The government stopped free school dinners for poor children, and he campaigned and was like, and he got it overturned. So
He sounds like a boss.
he's pretty fucking.
But then a lot of fans are going, yeah, but now you're not playing football as well because you're trying to help starving children.
You can never win.
Bigger
It's
fish
a
to
weird
fry.
one.
Yeah, you can never win.
Who are we going? Phil Hellmuth?
Yeah.
Okay, so Phil is a buddy of mine also. We play in that home game I was telling you in San Francisco. He's always there. Now, Phil is a giant. I don't mean like a legendary poker player, which he also is. He's an actual giant.
Is he?
He's like 6'6", 6'5", 280 pounds. He's just
Wow.
a monster of a human being.
People aren't stopping
And-
him in Milan and saying,
No,
you're
no.
shorter than I thought.
No, definitely not. And he's coined the name Poker Brat, and he's earned it. He doesn't care who you are. He's going to berate you at the poker table. He has these epic blow-ups. But once you realize he's a 56-year-old child, and it's fine, And I say that in a loving way.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't mean to be malicious. He just has no control over himself. And some people say, well, you're an adult. You should have yourself figured out. And I think they're probably right. But it's also, how much fun is it having a guy around that's just going to go bonkers on some farmer who just like showed up to play. Like, some dude just like got here It's like a farmer from Ohio, and he like loses a pot to an epic poker player of 30 years, and he's like, "You're an idiot, man. What is wrong with you?" You know, and the guy's like, "Sorry," you know. But I'll tell you a great Hellmuth story. First year I got to play with him in the World Series of Poker was 2008, and he's incredible. So I played with him all day. He's exactly how you'd think he'd be, like pushing his chips in the pot, all obnoxious and berating people or whatever. And we both make day 2 of the tournament. So the next day we're coming back and we're walking through the hallway, and I see 9 feet tall Phil Hellmuth coming along, and he goes, "Hey, kid." Turn around. I'm like, "Me?" He's like, "Hey, kid." And I'm like, "Hey, Phil Hellmuth." And he's like, "I think you learned a lot playing with me yesterday." It's like, all right.
Zlatan, straight away. Ibrahimovic. That's so good.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. We've got 2 more. Doug Polk.
So Doug's like my age, maybe a little younger, but kind of from the same school that I'm in. Kind of grew up from the same boom, played online, found his niche, which was heads up. So 1v1 became probably the best heads up no limit hold'em player in the world for quite some time, and then he became like a personality. You know,
Right.
Still epic poker talent, but he found his passion is in. He's a really funny guy, and he found his passion in doing a poker podcast, and
He's got a big presence online. Hasn't
huge
he?
presence. Yeah, and he just has the right personality for it. He's that combination of like charisma, stirs the pot, is funny, pisses a bunch of people off, but also whenever he talks about a poker hand, it's going to be really, really high level. I think a lot of pundits in poker are way behind the times,
Mm-hmm.
and he's one of the few guys that can cross over and actually say some really high level stuff. So every viewer gets something out of it.
Doug Polk. Online presence. Because I was going to say Ben Foster, but then Doug pisses people off, and Ben's the loveliest
Oh,
man.
okay.
Who are we going for?
I don't know.
Maybe like a Neymar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also a poker player, Neymar.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See him all the time. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, see him at the World Series every year. A lot of people love him. He's boys with a bunch of Brazilians. It's funny to hear you say that he pisses people off, because everyone I know who's ever interacted with him is like he's the most lovely guy.
Yeah, I'm talking from like I've
Football
never,
fan.
Yeah, I've never met him.
Yeah.
Like there's like
He seems to flop a lot.
that's it. People say that he dives and stuff and
well, I've
buys
seen
fouls
that.
and stuff.
Very limited soccer, but every time I watch him play, he's flop.
Yeah. That's what pisses people off.
I
But
get it.
the final name, Stu Ungar. Am I
Stu
pronouncing
Ungar.
that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the original kid, Stu is, we lost him before I came into poker. I believe you have to check, but I believe he died in the late 90s. He had a severe drug addiction, but he was kind of like a Bobby Fischer-esque character. I don't know if you know who that is from chess. He was like the boy prodigy, ultimate poker player. Apparently every single game he could sit and learn and smash everyone at. Like he just unlimited potential, unlimited horsepower, but didn't have discipline and had the demons, and the demons ended up getting him.
Like a party guy. Loved the Vegas lifestyle.
Yeah, just wasted talent. Like I think he died in like a cheap motel somewhere in Vegas of a drug overdose. And you're talking about a guy who won millions, not just in poker tournaments, but like it's estimated. I heard some crazy stat. It was estimated that he won like $20 million playing cash games, so not in tournaments, in the 80s. You know,
Oh, wow. So what that would be
Yeah.
worth
Yeah.
now.
big money.
Yeah.
Going,
And just but he couldn't escape his demons. And
we've named a lot of people there that our listeners might not necessarily know.
yes,
We've got someone here that they might know, someone who burst onto the online scene as someone who states to be a very good poker player, Dan Bilzerian.
so Dan, I know Dan. I don't know him very well. I went to one game that he had at his house, and it was as advertised. It was ridiculous. I remember standing there like,
Like you just say it as advertised.
Yeah.
And we know exactly what
yeah,
you
oh,
mean.
yeah, exactly. And I'm putting myself where I was in the scene, because I remember like I had to be the worst guy at the party. So there was a party where there's all these women. There's too many women, which is weird. Like, no, there is,
Which is weird.
bro. It's like there's just too many of them. And like I'm standing there and I'm talking to one of these girls, and like and she's asking me like the typical like, what do you do? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And I just remember I was so curious. I didn't mean to be a dick, but I was like, why do you come to these? You know, she seemed like smart and reasonable.
Yeah.
She just walked away. But yeah, I mean, Dan's like definitely has won a lot of money at poker. Like, I don't think he plays much anymore, but there may be some exaggerations in there. But I know for a fact the dude has won millions upon millions against a few opponents. So poker is one of those games where you can be the best player in the world and sit around and play the other 5 best players in the world and barely make any money. Or you can be the 1,000th best player or worse, but as long as you're playing everybody that is way worse than you, you can make a great living. And how do you compare who the greatest poker player is? Do you compare it by who has the most money in the bank at the end of the day from what they won?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, it's
a
tough.
cool one.